Okay, brilliant. Shall I continue? Because today, I'm so glad more people have joined. So those who have joined after I mentioned, today is going to be a practical session. And although I cannot see what you're doing, I would like you to join us. It's simple things that we will be doing, but I would like to join you. I mean, I will share my screen, and so you'll be given full instructions, so nothing about it. But what we're basically doing is learning. Some things you might already be doing, but if you're not, then this is a good time to learn simple things that you can add to your regime. Okay, let food for you again is our main theme, because but I would say more today is more bringing in all the elements of startanew as well, because there are different aspects. We talked about sunlight, we talked about trust in God, we talked about air, but today we're talking a little bit more about air, rest, temperance, nutrition. Yes, we will talk a little bit about nutrition. Exercise, that's another thing that we will be talking about. Yesterday we talked about water, and I'm so glad some of you have started increasing the amount of water that you need to take. And if you're not increasing, just actually calculate how much water you're drinking, because it'll surprise you. We think we're drinking enough, and sometimes we don't realize that we are not drinking as much. As was said, this is our fourth session. So, we've brought in various elements of our startanew. And today we're going to be talking a little bit of stretching, about breathing, food demo. Well, unfortunately, I wasn't able to attach myself to a camera, which I'll be showing the food demo. So I'll try and see if I can do that tomorrow. But I think we've got plenty to do today anyway. We've talked about this. Some of it is revision, just a reminder of how beautiful these rich foods look. And that is what we want on our plate as well, because it looks attractive. It is full of nutrients, potent. They're antioxidants, and full of flavor, full of nutrition. And sometimes we have gone so away from natural things that we've actually forgotten what they actually taste like. And when you cook all the food with all the herbs and spices and masala, etc., we remember it tastes good because of what we've added, like the masala. Yeah. So you don't really know what these things individually taste like. That's why it would be nice for us to have a little bit of raw as well, to remind ourselves how good they are in their own right. So the health challenge over the last few days has been eat more fruits and vegetables and make your plate colorful. And we spend a little bit of time finding out why plate colorful, apart from it being very good for the eyes and attractive, but increasing it means you've got benefits of the reds, the greens, the yellows, the whites, which we take for granted, but actually have a contributing factor to our health. And I'm glad, various people mentioned not just one thing, but two things. So thank you for changing. Now, this is what I had done practically, but as I said to you, because my camera is not working. So, I'm just showing you this, that we can do carrot. You can either grate the carrots, you can make them into carrot sticks, cucumber sticks, sweet peppers, look at the, just in one plate, I've got a whole lot of color. Now, what I've done in the bowl is made guacamole, but you don't have to. You can make your own different kinds of chutneys and use it as a dip. So it tastes nice. It's not just rabbit food. It's not just tasteless food that you're not, that you don't eat because it doesn't taste very nice, but it's there to go with something which you're familiar with and which is tasty, and the mixture will be great. So you can, another thing that you will find is there could be times when you're adding raw food, like this to your diet, but you think, oh, I don't like this. That's okay. Don't worry if you don't like that in that particular form. Sometimes you just need to change the form and it tastes different. An apple is an apple. Yes, I agree with that. But juicing the apple tastes different. Chopping it in small bits in the fruit salad, that tastes different. Or you can make slices and maybe put some peanut butter, even on your carrot sticks, put that with it, and it tastes totally different. So what I'm saying is we need to start thinking differently so that we can enjoy these healthful salads. Again, over here, what I've done, I don't know if you can see, it was just on the left, it was a, I think, sauteed onions with peppers and various other ingredients to give a little, and tomatoes, etc., with garlic and herbs, etc. And they are on a plate of tacos. Yes, you do get tacos in India as well, but you can use, you can literally make healthy tacos at home as well, which is, really simple, which is you're going to do the chapatis, make them into that shape and then crisp them. You can do it on a tawa, or I don't know if you have ovens, but tawa is fine. And but the texture changes. And when the texture changes, it tastes different. Like kakra, is it kakra? That Gujaratis have, simple, but, sorry?
We get tortilla chips.
Yes, I know, but remember, tortilla are fried, while as kakra, is it kakra? I think it's kakra.
Yes.
That is not fried. That you're making it crisp by putting, the way you cook it. And that, you can make into pieces and add, you're getting something very similar because you're getting the flavors from all that you've added to it. And then you've got the corn, you've got the avocado and tomatoes and peppers added to it. Again, you don't have to have your meal in the same format that you have every time. And this will be something nice in the evening when you don't want to have a very heavy meal. This is a much lighter meal. Okay. Right. The next health challenges was drinking at least, well, not 5 to 8, really 8 cups of water daily, or if you're a child, to reduce it accordingly. But it helps with healthy circulation, bowel function, and helps curb the appetite. And the 8 glasses of water, the amount of liquid that you're using, it's not necessarily 8 glasses plus what you might drink in the morning, with your lime and ginger drink or whatever, or some juices. If it's freshly made vegetable juices, then they can be added to your amount of liquid as well. I'm not talking about Coke or other pops. These are just healthy alternatives that you need to have. Okay. And we talked about the benefits of water, but more importantly, I think if you start drinking water, your brain function, your skin and, digestion will improve. And also to remember, when you're thinking of the water, that you're drinking in between the meals and not during the meals. I know I talked about it yesterday, but I didn't dwell on it because, time had gone and I forgot that. But it is important that you drink in between your meals, not during your meals. Then the health challenges, fresh air and deep breathing. How many of us take the time for deep breathing exercises? Because what happens is over there, you're improving your oxygen intake and recovering from illness or surgery and reducing stress. It will help with all that. So I want everybody to sit comfortably. If you stand, you might find it easier. But if you're sitting on a settee with your, in which case you're slouching, you need to sit up and keep your feet flat on the ground, because I want you to listen to what she's saying, because that is important.
Hi, I'm Michelle, and today I'm going to show you how to do deep breathing exercises, and I'm going to take you through some simple steps to show you how to do these exercises at home. So you might like to do these at home with me as we go along. So the first thing is to get yourself in the right position. So for deep breathing, you're much better being upright, so either sitting or standing rather than lying down. Now, if you are in bed and you're in bed recovering from illness or surgery, try to prop yourself up, so maybe with a couple of pillows so that your body's upright a little bit rather than lying flat. It's much harder to do deep breathing exercises when you're lying flat. Now, the second thing is to think about your posture. So wherever you are, either standing or sitting, I'd like you to lengthen your spine. So think about lifting the crown of your head towards the ceiling and relax your shoulders back and down. If you're slumped forward, it's much more difficult to expand your rib cage and the lungs. So second thing is always think about your posture before you start your deep breathing. Now, our third thing is to start to breathe in to the base of the lungs. Now, if we shallow breath, which is up here, you don't have air exchange happening here. The air exchange happens down the base of your lungs, and that means that's where the oxygen gets into your bloodstream. So the air exchange is going to happen down here. So this is the part of the rib cage we need to move out to the side. Just to demonstrate, I've got just some tubing here and some exercise bands. So you'll see what I mean. So if I bring this around my body and hold it at the back, when I breathe in, I want to make that part wide. So when you're breathing in at home, make that part of your rib cage expand, but without lifting this part. So make this part, breathe in, and slowly let the air fall out. You don't need to force the air out. So once again, make that part of your rib cage wide with your in-breath. Here we go. Breathe in at home. You might like to use your hands on the outside of your rib cage and then the air out slowly. So I'm going to move that tubing down. I'm going to do this again, and now with another hand on the belly. So rib cage is going to come wide and our belly is going to move forward like we're a barrel. So moving into a barrel. Here we go. Breathe in deeply. Let your tummy move forward, hand move forward, and then let the air fall away slowly. So how did you go putting that all together? You've got your posture, you've got breathing in slowly and deeply, rib cage coming wide, belly moving forward. Hold it, and then let the air fall away. Now, how many of those exercises should you do? Well, if you do too many in a row, you can actually get a little bit lightheaded. So it's a good idea to start with 3 or 4 of those exercises, and you might do those hourly, particularly if you're resting in bed. So these are the exercises worth practicing before an athletic event, if you're recovering from illness, if you feel a little bit fatigued and need to increase the amount of oxygen getting to your lungs. So I really hope this video helps you understand how to do deep breathing exercises at home. I'd love to hear from you. If you've got any comments or questions about this video, let me know below. And I'll look forward to exercising with you next time. Bye for now.
Okay, so now you've learned, you probably know it, but she's probably reminded you of what you should do. Let's do it ourselves. Okay, so make yourself comfortable. I can't see what you're doing, so don't worry about it. I'll just remind us. It's only 3 times that we're going to do it, but make sure that you're not raising your shoulder and you're breathing from the bottom of your lungs. Okay, begin. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now we're going to hold the breath when we breathe in this time. So breathe in, hold, and breathe out. Okay, Now you can relax. So that didn't take very long. What is nice is if you, I mean, she mentioned you can do it on an hourly basis or whatever. When you go out, especially if you're near trees, etc., take the time to breathe in and breathe out. When you get up in the morning, take the time to breathe in and breathe out. Which reminds me, make sure that your windows are open when you go to sleep at night, so there's a good circulation of air and there's no stale air in your room. Okay, so we can do breathing, and we can all do that. It's not going to take very long, but it means that you're getting fresh oxygen into your lungs on a continuous basis. Otherwise, normally we just breathe, but we just breathe very shallow, and that's not good. Then you're not getting rid of the carbon dioxide that needs to come out. So full body stretching routine for flexibility and increased mobility. Relaxing and calming stretching routine for all levels and suitable for seniors and beginners. So, when you're thinking of these exercises and stretches and walking, the number of times I have seen, I'm talking about my family back in India. The older people will sit and tell the children to go out, forgetting that they need to do some walking themselves. You will feel calm, relaxed, and feel like you're floating on air daily. That is if you start doing some exercises. So I'd say, the stretching exercises are for men and women. You don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to be, somebody who really is into the gym and all that. I think all of us need, because all of us have muscles. And remember, as it says, don't use, what is it? If you don't use it, you lose it. And that is for everybody, and including older people, senior people. My mom at various times, she says, I've done my exercise. I said, what did you do? I got up and went to the loo and came back. That is not enough. You need to do more than that. Or I can hear mothers saying, I'm busy all day. I'm on my feet every day. Yeah, but if you start doing stretching, if you start doing exercise, or you go for a walk, you will realize that you're using muscles which you haven't used before. So if you want to keep your muscles, it is important. So warm-ups consisting of stretching and flexibility exercises should be performed for a minimum of 5 to 7 minutes before aerobic exercises. Now, we haven't talked much about aerobic exercises because at the minute we were just talking about moving, keep moving. But once we start moving, then it is important that we start doing some warm-ups so your muscles, have that flexibility and the stretching so that it can do a little bit more. So the purpose of warm-ups includes keeping the muscles supple, increasing range of motion of joints, enhancing flexibility, improving coordination, increasing the body temperature and heart rate, increasing blood flow to muscles and preventing injuries. The right way to stretch is slow and relaxed. Do not bounce. This can actually cause you to pull the muscle you're trying to stretch. So this is just for warming up. And then once you've warmed up, then you can go, and if you want to jump or whatever, that's fine. But it is important, both warm up and your after your exercises, to cool down as well. Okay, so again, as I said, it's we all doing it. It's 5 minutes, it's simple, it's beginner's level. So I hope you're going to join me as well.
We're going to do a beautiful morning stretch routine.
If you stand, it will help.
Putting our spine through its full range of motion so that we can become unstuck. And I promise you, you're going to feel calm and centered, and you're actually going to float. So I recommend that you do this stretch routine every morning when you wake up. It'll get you started for the rest of the day and it'll put you in the right mindset. So even if you feel calm just for these moments every day when you're exercising and stretching, you're going to be on the right track and you're going to be doing your health a huge benefit. Take a deep breath in and out. In and out. Deep breath in and out. Start slowing your breathing down. Slowly move your head to the left and the right. Left and right. So that it becomes untangled from all of that stress. Put your head down and back. All the way down and back. Begin rotating your head in a circular motion all the way around. Side up, side down. Feel all of that tension unravel inside of you. Let it all go. Change directions. You've got a lot of things on your mind. Just be kind to yourself and release all of that pressure. Deep breath. Take a deep breath in and raise your arms above your head and take them to the side, stretching at your waist. Back to the other side. Feel the stretch. Back. Bend back. And take it down to the floor. Bend your knees if you like here. Take it to a half lift. Place the left hand on the right shoulder and gently allow the spine to twist. Other side. And back. Roll your shoulders up to your ears. And again, we're going to do this 4 times. Up, to the side. Close your eyes, I'll guide you through. To the other side. And up and back. And up and forward. Half lift. Up, arm to the side, twist, the other side, back, roll your shoulders up to your ears, deep breath in, stretch up, breathe to the side, and up, side, and up, back, breathe, and up, down, half lift, and up, left hand on right shoulder, twist, the other side, back, and roll your shoulders up to your ears. Breathe in, big stretch up, to the side, up, the other side, up, back, a little bit further than before, and down. Go as far as you can, bend your knees if you like, half lift, and up, take your arm back with a twist, and the other side, and shoulders to the ear, roll them. Standing straight, start twisting your body gently and tapping your hands on your kidneys behind your back. Close your eyes and just get into the flow. Enjoy the sensation. Take your arm to the side and give it a big stretch. And the other arm. Take your arm back and gently pull on your shoulder. The other arm and down. Stand feet hip width apart and take your body down to do full circles. Touch the floor, bend your knees if you need, reach up and down. And take your body into the fluid movement. And back the other way. Up and down, up and down. Breathe in and out. In. Put your arms down. Imagine the problem you're feeling right now and take your arms out and then start squashing that problem in with your arms held really tight. And back, squash that problem into nothing, and back, take it in, make it smaller, and back, focus, and back, squash it down, and back, down to nothing, and capture it, and start rubbing and generating all of your energy. And then transfer that energy to your face and then to your heart. Everything's going to be okay.
Okay. I hope you joined me and I hope you enjoyed it. And it's a good idea if you're doing any kinds of exercise is to keep water handy, because it is your body will actually, you will want to drink more water, when you've done some exercise. And it's a good time to be able to do water, to drink some water. Okay. Whoops. Okay. We've talked at various times about disease and inflammation in the body. So I thought I'll give you a recipe for turmeric anti-inflammatory juice. So you take one apple. By doing this, you're also increasing the amount of fruits and vegetables that you're having. But remember, it's freshly made so that you benefit from it as soon as you make it. So that's one apple, one carrot, half a lemon. Peel the lemon if it's not organic. Well, keep the peel on if it's organic, but if it's not, peel but don't go right to the end. You can leave some pith for the lemon. One small knob of fresh ginger peeled, one small knob of fresh turmeric peeled. You in India benefit from having getting fresh turmeric more easily than we do over here. But if there is no fresh turmeric, organic turmeric powder would be fine. For those who are not in India and don't use stainless steel blenders, remember that turmeric will cause things to turn, the colors will, if it's plastic, even if it's hard plastic, it does discolor your containers. And then a dash of black pepper. Now I've put over there because that's what it says, but although I don't use black pepper, so I don't, they've done research on the absorption of turmeric. And what they found is if you add a little bit of black pepper to that, the absorption rate becomes much higher. It's just I don't use black pepper because that's kind of an irritant to the lining of the stomach. And it's very easy. Chop all the ingredients ready to juice all the ingredients and drink. It's as easy as that, but it's very nutritious. Now, I was trying to think yesterday, when we were talking about rice being the main challenge in some ways I found when we were talking yesterday, because that is such a staple diet. So I was thinking, okay, what alternatives could we have? And that's why I was glad, is it Iris who brought up, having the rice, adding the quinoa to the rice. That way, again, you're adding more nutrients by adding the quinoa, but you're adding a different grain and also reducing the amount of rice. And then there are loads of other alternatives wherein you use cabbage instead of, so you chop the cabbage so finely and you can steam it or whatever and use that instead of rice. Or you can have cauliflower. Again, you can do cauliflower, you can do broccoli, you can do parsnip, although I don't know whether we get parsnip in India. But all those can be finely grated, or you can put it in the blender to make it as small as basically rice. It is not rice, I admit, but I'm just trying to suggest alternatives. And then useful references for you. I think I mentioned this on day one about forks over knives. If you haven't watched that documentary, well worth watching it. It talks about, it's done by Campbell and Esselstyn, and you get a whole lot of research behind what, as Adventists, we have known to be health ministry. I mean, not health ministry. Yeah, it is a ministry, but it is what the Genesis 1:29, the Daniel 1 diet is all about. But instead of just taking a sentence which says, this is what God gave, you've now got a whole lot of research to say why it is what it is. Then you've got Dr. Ornish, Dean Ornish, again, and all these have done research. They have people who are on, patients who have, when nothing works, and these doctors have put them on a strict regime. It's amazing how things have turned around. Then there's Dr. John. They all have slight variations, like McDougall recommends the starch solution because he talks a lot about making sure that you have lots of potatoes and sweet potatoes and rice and grains in your diet, while some other people say, no, you don't need to have potatoes, etc. So, but it's still a very plant-based diet. Neil Nedley, again, depression and anxiety recovery programs, and the diet that they suggest, when it comes to depression, anxiety, Alzheimer's, it all comes to a plant-based diet. Dr. Wes Youngberg, he talks about complications of diabetes. Again, the diet that they recommend is whole foods plant-based, and all of them would bring in the different aspects of startanew as well. The blue zones, Dan Buettner, you should say. I mean, Dan Buettner talks about the different parts of the world, which have the high centenarian population. But they do have at various times, some of the populations eat fish and, but all the other things that I have mentioned, all of these have strong emphasis on that. Eat to Beat Cancer, that's William Lee. Anti-angiogenesis, how to starve cancer, a whole lot of things. He also talks about resveratrol, which is red grapes. It's I remember seeing it on the news, on the the newspaper article where it talks about red wine being very good for cancer, really. But it's not actually red wine. What they're talking about is resveratrol, and resveratrol you will get from red grapes. You don't have to have red wine for that. Strawberries, soybeans, all of these things. So the action steps, we're just continuing from what we did before. If you do eat fruits and vegetables as part of the diet, encouraging one extra piece. So what you've already done today or yesterday and today, add another piece. Remember, if you just go for 7 days, because you're trying to do different fruits as well, so that gives you the variety. If you don't eat fruits and vegetables, then a green smoothie, would give you a whole load of nutrients. And if you're new to raw, then start with a small salad as starter at each meal, maybe fruit salad or green salad or red salad or a tossed salad, which is a mixture of all different kinds of vegetables. That's fine. And when you say salad, we don't have to have everything raw. You can have some like broccoli, which is steamed. That's fine to add to the rest of your raw salad. If you're familiar with raw, then try a raw day. And here I'm saying try a raw day from the thing is you're giving your body a break, and it's like a detox, but you're saying it's not that, or giving it a fast, anything you change from the norm is a fast. So normally you're having so much cooked food, etc. By giving yourself a raw day, you're saying, I'm just giving my body a break. You can have it as just having one fruit for the whole day or a variety of fruits. That's fine. But, give your body a break and, let your body enjoy the nutrients. Increase the amount of water and then exercise. And then when I say exercise, what we've learned today about breathing and about the stretching exercises to be included would be great. I just want to let you know that on a Tuesday, I know in India, 7 to 8 p.m. GMT would be far too late for you, but you can go on the website, or on a Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. that's GMT. So add 5.5 hours. So 516, about 6:30 is on a Friday. You can listen to my radio program. Again, the objective is still let food be your medicine and medicine your food. And it says Start Anew with Naomi. If you go on the website, you will see the previous episodes as well. And the program name is Start Anew with Naomi. Okay. I thought I would give you a couple more recipes so that you're including more fruits and vegetables, which makes it a little bit more interesting. So this is the green gratitude bowl with turmeric and tahini dressing. Now, there are loads of things that I could have told you, but turmeric is important. Tahini is important. You know what tahini is? It's sesame seeds, basically, crushed to be able to get the oil out of it. So that's tahini. So if you don't, I think you should be able to buy it in India. But if you're not, then you can just use sesame seeds and grind them. And then the green bowl, and I chose a green bowl because green is particularly important, and you get a whole lot of benefits from it. So you're using kale leaves. Now, I think you can get kale in India, but you can tell me if you can. But I use cabbage to do the same thing. Now, I know you get cabbage in India. A little bit of salt, a little bit of olive oil. I know we were talking about no oil, but here you're not going to raise the temperature of the oil. So this is a slightly different case, but you're only using a teaspoonful. And then what you do with just the leaves, you've chopped the leaves finely. You put a little bit of salt, a little bit of oil, and you massage as though you're kneading your chapati dough. Similarly, you just massage this, and what happens is the texture changes. It becomes more softer, and it's almost as though you've cooked it. It looks as though you've cooked it. And then you add the broccoli and the avocado. Then you've got, a whole lot of greens. I was just trying to put a green bowl over there. And And then you make a dressing. Again, the dressing is very simple. Here you've used tahini. So it's quarter cup tahini, quarter cup lemon juice, a tablespoon of maple syrup, all good quality honey if you have it. You don't have to have the sweetener, but it gives it a nice flavor. Tamari. Tamari is like soya sauce. Again, is just to add flavors to it, and a teaspoon of ground turmeric. And you just, mix all of those. You can have a simple dressing of olive oil, lemon juice, and a little bit of salt or a bit of sweetener, and just mix it. Now you can, once you've made the dressing, you can keep it in the fridge, and then you just use it as and when you need it. And it's as simple as that. By adding it to, it just gives more flavor as well. And then I think I've gone mad on turmeric, but it just so happened because turmeric is so good. I know Indians use a lot of turmeric, so this you didn't need to have all the turmeric recipes, but I obviously didn't realize I was putting all of them in here. But it's 1 teaspoon ground turmeric, 1 teaspoon raw honey. Again, you don't have to take the black pepper, or you can, your choice. A pinch of ground cinnamon, 1 cup of milk, but this is plant-based milk, and then you just blend it, and it's a nice. Again, this turmeric is particularly important if you have health challenges, if there is inflammation in the body, because that will help. This slide was supposed to be before that. The reason I made that green bowl was just a reminder what we looked at previously, what the green group does. Helps transport oxygen to the blood, and that's what we want. Supports the immune system, protects the eye, prevents birth defects, helps bone marrow produce red and blood vessels, and repairs the DNA to help protect against cancer. So greens are particularly important. Now, I don't necessarily want to put the this on. You don't have to listen, but the reason I put the falafels is I'm wondering whether we can do something similar, because falafels in some ways are similar to our bhajias, but our bhajias, we fry them. And I don't know, it's a challenge to you ladies to find out if you can do something similar without that much of oil, because we like them, but I'm again asking you to think outside the box, because these falafels are actually baked in the oven, or you can put it on a tawa, but on a with very little oil. It's almost like spraying the oil and letting it cook that way rather than frying. And then I wonder if I should stop here, but for those of you who think that I was saying no to sugar as in no to desserts, I thought I'd share this cake recipe with you. Doesn't that cake look lovely? It's a raw carrot cake. So it's not cooked, full of nutrients. And I think Alice is online, and I'm sure Alice has made it and will vouch for it.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure if Shauna has tried it, but these tastes are really nice. You can make it as a big cake, or you can make it as small individual cakes. Is that right, Alice? In small containers.
Yes. I was thinking I need to make some more. I made more last summer than through the winter. Why? I don't know. So yes, thank you.
Yeah. And what it has in it is carrots, which are finely grated. It is important to finely grate, because you don't want to keep chewing. You're expecting cake to be soft and easy to bite, so you don't want it to be, very hard. And then it's got medjool dates, again, because that's where you're getting your sweetness from. You've got walnuts, good for your brains, finely chopped. You've got coconut, you're getting your fats from walnuts and your desiccated coconut, vanilla, cinnamon, and they make a lovely cake. So all you're doing is you're shredding the carrots, and then you know, mixing all the dry ingredients and then the wet ingredients, and you mix them all and you just flatten it. That's it. And you put it in the fridge for a couple of hours where it settles. And then the frosting is totally optional. You don't have to have it because this is sweet on its own account. And the frosting is cashew nuts. So 1¼ cup, I should have said, raw cashews, ½ cup coconut cream, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, some maple syrup, and some vanilla. And again, you just blend it all together and you can just put it on top. And it is absolutely delicious. And this is, you don't have to feel guilty about it. Now, if you don't want to do that, this is another cake, but this is, you know, just your normal cake. But I've put this in for 2 reasons. One, because it has buckwheat flour as opposed to ordinary wheat flour. I mean, we have plenty of wheat in the normal course of the day. So I thought to myself, what other flour can we use? And that's buckwheat flour. Now, Iris, did you make this cake? I can't remember. But
yes, well, I've used buckwheat flour. Yeah, mixed bananas. I wouldn't have put the turmeric in, but I might be braver now. Yeah. It's a different texture.
It is.
But it's quite palatable. Yeah. And if you're in doubt, put cashew nut cream on top and you're fine.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And over here in this recipe, it says eggs, but you can replace the eggs with either chia seeds or the flax meal. And the flax meal is just ground flax. And if you say, take 1 spoon of flax with a little bit of water and you mix it, it forms like that gooey texture, and that will act as like what the eggs are doing in this particular case. Yeah. So you've got, and then ice cream. Yeah, I said no to ice cream before, remember? So I thought to myself, okay, at least let me, in yesterday's radio program, I talked about popsicles. So I thought to myself, oh, it might be idea to share with you these popsicle recipes as well. And, you know, the one on the left is basically orange juice, that's freshly made orange juice, and macadamia. Macadamia nuts, you just, you know, sort of soak them and blend them. If you don't get macadamia nuts in India, then cashews will be fine. But that gives you that creaminess with these popsicles. And the one on the right, it's beet and pineapple. So, you know, if you're doing lots of exercise, etc., it's good to be able to have beetroot juice. Even those who have blood pressure, beetroot is particularly good because it helps to expand your, what do you call it, the individual cells in your body. So that's me done. Let's see what questions we have. Any questions? Any comments? Please send us the links for the videos. Amazing. Thank you. I'm trying to do these stretch exercise, but I learned a few. Oh, good. Is intermittent fasting good or bad? It's very good. Any fasting is good, particularly. Intermittent fasting, you know, there's a lot at the minute. People are talking a lot about intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is basically giving your body a break. And that's why if you, you know, we talked about eating meals early in the evening, that or having 2 meals a day, that is part of it, very similar to intermittent fasting, wherein you have at least 12 to 14 hours of giving your body a complete break. And giving your body a break from eating at night is easy. During the day, when we see food and we smell food, it's harder. But yeah, intermittent fasting is good. If you think of a washing machine, okay, I know you have washing machines in India now. When I was growing up, we didn't have washing machines. But when you put clothes in a washing machine, I'm not talking about the machine that you can open and put different items at different times. I'm talking one which then closes and then does its job. Okay. So when a washing machine is on, you can't open the door and put more clothes in because it's washing. And think of your stomach like that. Once you've eaten, the stomach says, okay, I've got my share of food. I need to digest that food because that's its job. But if instead you keep putting more and more food, what the stomach has to do, it has to go to the beginning of its cycle again. Do you see what I mean? It's not, sometimes it's halfway done and then you've eaten. So it has to go back to start and go all the way down. So by the time lunchtime comes, you haven't digested your breakfast. You've only half digested. Then you have your lunch. So because it's not fully digested, you start again. And then, maybe you have a drink during the in between, or you have a biscuit, or you have a packet of crisps, or whatever that you might want to have. Or people say, oh, I'm having fruit in between. Yeah, but you remember, your stomach hasn't digested all that food. Give it time to digest. So by the time you come to your evening meal, your breakfast may not have completely digested. And then your body is amazing. It can cope with so much. But a time comes when the body says, no, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. In which case you have various problems. You have bloating, you have stomach pain, you have gas, you have a whole lot of irritable bowel syndrome, another thing. Mind you, under that umbrella of irritable bowel syndrome, a whole lot of things come up. Then what we do, we don't think, are we looking after our body? We go to the doctor. And the doctor says, oh, he doesn't ask you what your routine is, what you're eating, nothing. He says, oh, you've got this problem, so let's give it some medicine. What for? You're abusing your body and you need medicine to correct it? No. You need to pause and think, what is it that you're doing that the body is not happy with? And then, once the doctor gives you medicine, you take it and you feel all right. And then life goes on. And, the whole circle starts again. So let's find out, are we really looking after our body? Are we really giving our body a break? Are we doing the exercise? Now, the exercise are not just good for the muscles, etc. It's also good for your stomach muscles, for your digestion. That is important. Okay. So that's intermittent fasting. Cherries, blueberries, goji berries, strawberries, cranberries. Are these considered part of the nightshades that you mentioned earlier? No, they're not part of the nightshades. They are one of the best foods you can have. Lots of antioxidants in all of the berries. And if you can have as many berries as possible, you're doing. If you've got cancer, that is one of the best fruits. Normally, when I had my cancer, I was recommended not to have any fruit. I know it's still fruit, it's only fruit sugar, but I chose not to have it, except for berries. Berries, are very good for you. Is white rice good to eat after removing starch? Well, who's asking? Vijay, I would recommend brown rice. You can have the rice before, after removing starch, no problem, but brown rice. You won't have the same problem as white rice with removing starch or not, because brown rice hasn't had the husk removed. So it's got a whole lot of nutrients. White rice is where you take the brown rice, polish all the goodness out of it, and then the white rice remains. So that's why what we are recommending is what is better for you is the brown rice. Okay. And this might be difficult. So go slow, but tell yourself you need to have, even if you're making 2 pots of rice, a small amount of white rice, a small amount of brown rice, and having, a little bit, so you get used to the textures, you get used to the flavors, but that is really good for you. If you're not well and the doctor gives you medicine, do you say, oh, the medicine doesn't taste very nice, I'm not going to have it? No, you have it. Why? Because the doctor's given it to you. Well, why shouldn't it be the same argument when God has given you that diet? Do you agree? Maybe you don't, but I want you to think about it. How to reduce the quantity of carbohydrates like we use chapati and rice more. Increase the vegetables, because vegetables have carbohydrates in them. So some are more starchy carbohydrates than others, but like all the greens, they're not starchy. So they have less carbohydrates, but the starchy carbohydrates, like the potatoes and the sweet potatoes and the root vegetables, they are more starchy. So what you're doing is, in fact, when I was growing up, we used to have vegetable and chapati. We had more chapati with a little bit of vegetable, almost like, I'm exaggerating here a bit, but like pickle, just a little bit. What I'm saying is change it around. We have more vegetables and a little bit of chapati. Can you see where I'm coming from? Because that is the kind of carbs which are giving us other things as well. Mary, have I answered your question? We're using brown rice. Oh, lovely. You're using, okay. Tomorrow, I was supposed to show you today, but time had gone. But tomorrow I will try and show you how I dextrinize the brown rice, and that might or might not help you. Lunch, fruits, fruit salad in the evening. Wonderful. In other words, one normal meal. What do you mean? The other is a normal meal as well. Is just different from what you were used to. Thank you. All right. Okay. Any comments about what we shared today?
I have a question, ma'am. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
When we talk about plant-based diet, and then we are keeping it in the refrigerator, what do you think? Keeping in a fridge and then taking out the plants and then cooking them and eating is good? Or I feel having a fresh from the garden, or we are buying from the market and consuming is better than keeping in the fridge. And then after 2 days, since we are so busy in our duties, and then we think, okay, we can dump some plants in the fridge and take it out and eat. I don't know whether it's good for our body. I don't have fridge, so I'm just thinking, I don't think so. It's good keeping in a refrigerator. Okay. And then.
You're right. Monica, I want to ask you a question. Do you cook?
Yes.
Okay. So you have a family that you're cooking for. Yeah.
Right.
You're buying vegetables every day. If you're able to buy vegetables every day, you are very fortunate. Some of us don't.
Yes.
Some of us are not privileged. For me, and especially if I have to buy Indian vegetables, I have to travel half an hour. That is providing that I don't get caught up in the traffic. Now, to me, to do that every day, one, is not practical from time basis. Another thing is the price. I couldn't afford fuel every day. So if you are able to do it, brilliant, do it.
How about having a small garden,
now you're talking. That is yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree with you. If you have a small garden, I've actually got a thing that I had downloaded. I don't know where it is, but it's an Indian lady. She only has a flat and, the veranda, and she grows, I think, as many as 70 odd vegetables and fruits in that small, and she talks about how to do it. Now, I was always hesitant to mention to Indian groups to do that because they will say, I don't have space. But many of us, especially if you're living in compounds, there is space. It's just we don't make the time to utilize that space. But It is very essential to be able to do that for various reasons. One, you're getting fresh, like you rightly said. Another thing is, what's going into the ground. You're not going to be using herbicides and pesticides, which is such a benefit because herbicides and pesticides cause a havoc in our bodies and our immune system. Then it actually is cheaper because your labor, it's labor of love, and you're not costing that. But doing that is much cheaper than going and buying vegetables. Another thing is, then you don't have to do exercise, because gardening would be your exercise, and a very enjoyable, and you don't think you're doing exercise, you're just doing it. So yeah, I completely agree with you, and I'll be quite happy to share your garden with you. I'll normally go to Iris because she does a lot of gardening. Yes. And if you don't have the space, do the sprouting. That's another simple thing. Sorry, somebody. You're welcome. Oh, just briefly to go back to you, Monica, the other thing, possibility, what you can do is when you get the vegetables, to wash, clean, blanch, or whatever, and put them in the freezer. Because I won't be able to quote this particular research to you, but it was said that if you don't eat within 3 days, 6 days, 9 days, 24, 48. What's 24 plus 48? 72 hours. So if you don't eat foods that are picked, plucked, or harvested within 72 hours of it being picked, plucked, or harvested, you're losing about 80% of the nutrients. So what you're saying is exactly that. And what we do is we shop for the week. Never mind that. How long has the shop had the fruits and vegetables in the shop before we get it? And these days, because fruit and vegetables are traveling so many miles, you're not getting the maximum nutrients. You know, they did a research. They looked at oranges from the time they were picked in, is it California? Anyway, from one side of America to middle of America. I know it's a long distance, but not compared to some of the other places. And the amount of vitamin C left in the oranges was almost negligible. Because of the travel time, because of when we actually use that fruit, etc. So when they say, in juices, they will say with added vitamin C, and I'm thinking, why are they adding vitamin C when oranges already have vitamin C? That's because there's nothing left because of when we're having it. That's why I never recommend carton of juices. It's the style now. You have cartons of juices in the fridge, and so when you get up in the morning or you have visitors, then you give cartons of juices. Expensive with no, well, should I say no? Maybe I'll be incorrect in saying that there's no nutrition in it. Instead, if you take the orange and squeeze it and offer it to people, you're doing them and yourself a favor. Okay, anybody else?
What I learned today was regards to the breathing exercises.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I do that, but it's only in the early morning when I go for my walks. But I never realized that we need to do it throughout the day. And it really helps us. That's something that's a challenge that I'm going to take.
Okay. And it doesn't take you that long. You can be anywhere and you can do that. It particularly helps if you're stressed. Just to have a complete break and, take that. It calms your state. Also, if you feel anxious or if you're angry, instead of reacting in that way, if you pause and do some breathing exercise, just excuse me for a minute. Charlie, hold on. Sorry, there were other dogs and my dog was barking. Yeah. When you're angry or you're upset, if you do those breathing exercises, it calms you down and you're then able to cope with the situation much better. So lots of other reasons as well.
I also wanted to ask, is it okay to skip the evening meal?
Oh, it is very good. That's where the fast, somebody asked about
Intermittent fasting.
Yeah, because you're doing yourself a favor, because your body then has lots of time to digest the food and then rest. So that's why I think 2 meals a day is quite sufficient. And if you're eating well, you really don't need more than that. We eat because we're in a habit of eating meals. 3 meals is what the norm is. So mind you, sometimes you're grazing all day, but yeah.
Yeah, most of them, they say breakfast, they don't have time to have breakfast, so they just rush. Lunch again is rush. So they say dinner is the only time where we can relax and have a good meal. And so they tend eating more in the evening than eating during the breakfast and lunch.
Yeah. I remember when I was first introduced, this is when we first got married. That was the challenge. And also because my husband was working in the evenings, we never got a chance to eat one meal together. So we moved our main meal, which is, what you would have had a full meal, to in the mornings. So in the mornings it took a little bit of time to get used to it, because you just don't. Well, I've struggled in wanting to have a cooked meal first thing in the morning. And then if you have that, you don't feel hungry till much later in the day. And then if you have one more meal, then again, you don't need anything in the evening. But it's a mindset. When I was growing up, the norm in India, well, I was born and brought in Pune. The norm over there used to be 2 meals. One is before, because people went to work at 10 o'clock. So they would have a good cooked meal at 10 o'clock. And then they would come back and have another meal. And that was it. Okay, people are, sometimes people had snacks in between. But really, and when it comes to real meals, they had 2 meals a day. And then later on, it started where, they were taking tiffins to work, in which case the tiffin wala would bring a hot meal at lunchtime, in which case you didn't really need the cooked meal before 10 o'clock. But times change. Anybody enjoyed the stretching? Did you do the stretches? Let's put it like that.
Yes, we did.
Okay. All right. Daryl, you told me that your group talks. I have not found that your group talks.
I just want to add to the question of Mr. Daryl, that at times when we try to skip meal, like in the evenings, there are some people in our state, in Punjab, that they go through this problem of acidity. The moment the stomach is empty, they had the problem of acidity. And how can we try to skip a meal?
Drink water. See, acidity, maybe I'll look a little bit more into it, because if you're having acidity, it means your insides are more acid than alkaline. And also then it will repeat, that's when you're talking about the acidity. If you're on a plant-based diet, you shouldn't really suffer with acidity like if you were on a animal-based diet. So let me look at it and come back to you. Okay, tomorrow I'll try and answer that question for you. At least because for me, that is what, you know, it's what you're eating that's causing acidity.
Yeah, even when we try to skip a meal.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but I can understand that. But the problem is the insides. And the reason the inside is having a problem is because of what you have been eating in the first place. You are what you eat. Okay? So if you're feeding the body with a lot of spices, with a lot of meat, I mean, lot is not, you can't compare one person to the other. It's your body. Yeah. And if that will make the body acidic. So another thing is, okay, chewing gum. Okay, if you're chewing gum, what is the message that is going from the brain to the stomach? The saliva is being used. You're going to get some food, release the acid to digest the food. So you're going to have acid in your thing. But then no food comes. So now what is the stomach going to do? You see, it's some of the habits that we have formed that could cause some of the problems that we have. And it could be, as I said to you, I will answer, I will check on that. It could be that if we start following a healthier lifestyle, we won't have the acidity. I know, I mean, one of the things that I find with acidity as well is eating late at night. That definitely causes acidity. And yet that's what people do. And one of the reasons they say it's almost, it becomes a vicious circle. They're eating because they have acidity, but the acidity is formed because of what they're eating and when they're eating and how they're eating. And you have to break that chain to make that break. But I will check what if I'm, correct or not. Not there are, I'm just looking at something more specific to what you're asking.
Thank you, ma'am.
Not a problem. And I think, maybe you should try it and you should tell me. Because,
not mine particular, but I'm talking about in general in this state of Punjab.
No. Don't talk general because you don't know what their eating habits are. And eating habits, drinking habits, they all make a difference. And I'm talking about drink as in alcoholic drinks as well as non-alcoholic drinks. They all are causing the body acidity. And that is not good. And then they will go and have those tablets to calm the acidity, or drink milk because it neutralizes. Also, they could, let's say, there's the other thing is, you don't know if the acid, see, do you remember my first thing about the fish and, your environment being polluted? Now, when your environment, that's your stomach environment, is polluted and you go and you have a problem, the doctor gives you some medicine, then there are side effects to that medicine. And if you keep doing that, the side effects, you will need another tablet for the side effects. And then another tablet for that second tablet that you've had. And I'm not being facetious here. That's a reality when people are having a lot of medications. And many times there is no research done to see how, when all these tablets come together, what the reaction is, how the body is reacting. One tablet, you might have some side effects. 2 tablets, a second tablet, you might have some side effects. But how much research is done to say, oh, there are side effects to this, and then that's why you're giving this tablet, and there are side effects to this, you're giving me what is the side effect to my body when you have all these concoctions? Temporarily, it will solve the problem. Long term, it may not solve the problem. So let's get back to basics.
I realize, Sister Watson, what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because say about 7-8 years back, when I was eating chicken and fish and also having eggs. And I used to drink, tea.
Yes.
And I used to have a lot of acidity. And there were many times, couple of times, that I had to go in the night to the hospital because of acidity problem. And what they would give is an injection of, reducing my acidity, and then I would come back home after the shots.
Right.
And ever since I have, what you said is right, ever since I changed to plant-based diet and
Yeah.
removed dairy products and drank more of water, I don't have constipation. I do not have acidity anymore.
That's
I don't
interesting.
struggle with it.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, because that is a very practical example. Now, for me, I can't compare because I didn't eat meat. But what you have said is very helpful. So I actually, sometimes it's having to go through, sometimes you get worse before you get better. So, when you talk about acidity, it could be that, we just need to give it time for that changeover to take place. And then, you won't have that. But you can't keep saying that I have this problem, but I don't want to let go of some of the bad habits that I have. In my mind, a poison, whether it's 2 drops of poison or a half a glass of poison, still is a poison. The name hasn't changed, the quantity has changed, but it's still a poison. Okay. YouTube. Can I eat oats with fruit like banana and apple? Can I have soya milk? Yes, of course you can. I have oats daily. Oats are particularly good because I think of oats like a sweep. What do you call it? Karata. Like a sweeper. What it does to your inside, it sweeps off all the cholesterol, all the rubbish, and it helps clear the path. So oats are a very good grain to have. And with fruits like banana and apple and soya milk, you've got a very good breakfast there. I'm 74 years old. I do gardening 3 to 4 hours a day. Lovely. Do I need to do walking exercise too? Well, okay. What I would say is sometimes the muscles that you're using for gardening may not necessarily be the same muscles that you're using for walking. So, by doing a variety of things, you're using different muscles. Now, my husband loved gardening, and he always thought he didn't like walking. For me, it was just the opposite. I love walking, and gardening I'm trying to do, but I'm, probably learning a little bit more. So yeah, that's what you've got to remember. You've got different muscles, and you've got to make sure that, okay, when you're gardening, are you standing up and sitting down? So, those muscles are being stretched and used. Or are you standing up and doing a little bit? So, all I would say, try going for a walk and see if it's touching any other muscles. And if it is, then you ought to be walking. And if you're retired, so you should love walking. I know gardening is good as well, but yeah. Skipping at meals at night is best and have an early breakfast. Yeah, I agree. Is it good to take them? Neem leaves boiled in water and drink in the morning in empty stomach, as we do. Yeah, neem has got a whole lot of properties. So if that's what you do, yeah, keep doing it, no problem. Neem is also good for brushing your teeth and gargling and keeping your mouth good hygiene. So okay, we eat any types of grams every day for breakfast. Lovely. You're very good. Can we soak soybean at night and boil in the morning to eat it? In fact, if it's soybean, even any of those beans and lentils, if you soak them overnight, you can soak them for 24 to 48 hours. And what you find that for people who are not used to it, they find it particularly hard to, well, some of them find it difficult to have beans like soybean and gram and all that, in which case, you know, what they might find is when they've rinse it, by the way, if you're keeping for 48 hours in morning and evening, that there is something in beans, is it lectins, which reduce the longer you soak them. So yeah, Mary, I would soak the soybeans more if you're happy with it. All it means is you've got to plan ahead. Is garam masala good, like black pepper, clove, cinnamon, fenugreek, etc.? I would say clove, cinnamon, fenugreek are great. Black pepper is not so great. So if you're making, if you're buying garam masala from the shop, they will have black pepper or white pepper in it. So if you can make your own garam masala without the black pepper, I would say add cayenne pepper instead of black pepper to make the best, what is for your best for your health. Okay. Okay. Skipping meals at night. Have I answered all the questions? I think I've answered all the questions. Okay.
James had a question.
Sorry, James.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you so much for your program, and I have learned a lot. And I would like to thank you for that. The first day session that we have, that analogy that you have, that goldfish things. It's a really practical, and it's a layman can learn what exactly happens to us and what we have feed our food.
That's
and
right.
I belongs to I come from northeastern part of India, Manipur. There, the main staple food that the majority of the people are having is white rice, and 90% of them, I would say, is meat, non-veg. This is the kind of tradition or the practice or the habit people living out there. So having gone through all the programs, and I began to change my mindset that healthy living is not consumption of those non-veg or vegetarian or non-veg food, but more of mindset and plant-based diet.
Absolutely.
And also, I have changed a lot to my families and people around my community. And also, what I would like to ask is, what could be the minimum time gap between two meals, for example, morning, evening? Because most of the time we are working in our office, we have a lunch time 2 o'clock in the evening. So if you have a lunch around 2 o'clock in the evening, you don't feel like eating around 6 or 7 o'clock. But if you
okay, we've lost James. Okay, I'll answer what he has asked for when he gets back, but he's making a very valid point. I think, Iris, you told me as well when you first saw the analogy that I did with the fish. Yes.
Lovely. It's very good.
Because we don't see what's going on in our body, but when we see that analogy, it just without many words, we can understand what is happening. And we also understand what we're doing to our environment, the choices, are we giving medication or clearing or cleaning the environment? Yeah. Okay, James. Thanks, John. Okay. Yeah. I hope James comes. If not, we'll have to, oh, there you are. Okay, James, you're back. You're muted.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
My question is, after having lunch at 2 o'clock in the evening, we don't feel like eating around 7 or 8 o'clock. But by the time we try to go to sleep around 9, 10 o'clock, then we feel like eating, get hungry. So how to deal with that? If I started eating again around 9, 10 o'clock, then I will not be able to sleep well again.
Correct. Correct. So roughly, your food is digested. It takes about 4 hours. Yeah, roughly 3 to 4 hours for your food to digest. Right. So it depends what you're having at lunchtime. The thing is, if you have a meal at lunchtime which is too big, then you will feel sleepy in the afternoon. Yeah. So you're trying to combat that as well. But what about your breakfast? How big is your breakfast? You could have that. And then in the evening, by 6 o'clock, because 4 and 2, 6. Yeah. By 6 o'clock, you don't have to have a heavy meal. You can have a light meal. You can have salads. You can have fruits. You can have a fruit salad. See, I don't know if you remember when I was talking to you, when my dad came from India and I changed because of his kidney problems. He could have any kind of fruit. We could have fruit salad. We could have smoothies. We could have lots of things that can be done, but we restricted it to that because that was much shorter time for your body to digest. And it was still light enough. So by the time you went to bed, you didn't go to bed on a heavy stomach. So you can try that. And if you want, you can have maybe one piece of bread along with that fruit, so that you feel full, or have fruit with maybe a few nuts and a piece of bread, or have a salad, as in green salad, lettuce, tomato, cucumber, radish, and you can have as much salad as you want. That's not going to take very long to digest.
Right.
And the green plate that I showed today, that's what I mean. You don't have to just have it green. You can have all colors and then put some nice dressing on it. So you will feel. And the thing is, once you start doing that, you will actually say, actually, I'm full, I'm comfortable. In the beginning, it's going to be hard because your mind is telling you haven't eaten. Well, actually, you have, but it's not the same kind of food like what you were used to.
Right.
And James, the other thing you mentioned about the analogy that I showed, that analogy you can show to anybody, whether it's children or an adult, whether it's educated or uneducated, they will understand it like that.
Right.
And that is when, if you can make that connection, then to be able to share with them what the alternative is would be very good.
That's right. Thank you so much. And thank you for the breathing and stretching exercise. God bless you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. Okay.
There's a chat question on YouTube.
Is there?
So Masha.
Okay, from YouTube. The first day you said about turmeric tea. Can I drink with dry powder instead of raw? You mean dry powder as opposed to the fresh turmeric? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, you can. No problem. Yeah. You can do that. What I would say is mix that with a small amount of liquid, either, if it's plant-based milk, even a small amount, mix it first and then add more, the milk or whatever, because if it's too much, it doesn't mix that easily.